Go home. No one invited you here." My brother, Justin, appeared with a cruel smirk on his face, standing beside his new bride, Katie. The white dress she wore was bought with the money I sent. Behind them, I could hear our relatives laughing, as if this had all been a staged performance. Today was Justin's wedding day. I had driven 4 hours from Miami to arrive at the luxury resort in Florida, ready to celebrate my brother's big day. I had spent $8,000 on this wedding. Wearing an emerald green dress and diamond earrings, I came with every intention of offering my heartfelt congratulations. But what waited for me at the entrance was a humiliation I could never have imagined. "Lauren, what are you doing here?" My father, Robert, a broad-shouldered man with the build of a construction worker, blocked the doorway, his eyes cold. "I'm here for Justin's wedding. The one I paid for," I replied. "I paid $8,000. I reserved this entire venue myself," I pleaded, holding the proof of payment in my hands. "You can't buy a family with money, Lauren." Justin's voice cut through like ice. "Maybe if you visited more often, if you actually cared about your family instead of just mailing checks, you'd be welcome here." In that moment, memories from the past few years flashed through my mind. The growing distance I'd felt on the phone with my mother, father's cold demeanor, the way I'd been slowly excluded from family gatherings. It all began to make a cruel kind of sense. "Where's Mom?" "I need to talk to her," I said, scanning the crowd. "She's inside, celebrating with the people who really love her," Justin said sharply. "We're not letting you ruin her special day with your guilt-tripping." I remembered the moment 3 years ago when my mother had suffered a stroke. I rushed to the hospital, ready to pause my career and stay by her side. But my mother took my hand and said, "Don't give up your dreams. Supporting me from afar is more than enough. Nothing makes me happier than seeing you succeed." So I followed her wishes. I sent money every month for her treatments, for her rehabilitation. Whenever my father or Justin needed financial help, I sent more. I returned home every month without fail to check on her. My father and Justin had agreed to this arrangement. My father used to thank me, saying, "Because of Lauren's income, we can get the best care." But over time, my father's attitude began to shift. He started accusing me of putting my career over the family, of being selfish. The rift grew, but I continued to support them financially, still believing I was part of this family. Even today's wedding, Justin asked me to cover all the costs, and I agreed. A part of me still hoped we could go back to the way things were before my mother fell ill. Now, whispers were rippling through the guests. Relatives and family friends were glancing at me, murmuring to one another, "That's Lauren, isn't it? I heard she's always working, never comes home. Justin told me she just sends money and leaves their mom's care to someone else." My heart froze. I had done everything I could for my mother, but the truth had been twisted. No one mentioned that the money I sent paid for professional caregivers to give her the highest quality care. No one spoke of the warm hours I spent with her during my monthly visits. "You should have thought of this when you chose success over family," my father said coldly. "This event is for real family." His words cut deeper than any blade. Over the years, Justin had slowly, methodically pushed me out. He'd used my mother's memory loss after her stroke to erase my presence, rewriting me as a cold, self-centered daughter. I had long sensed that my success stirred something bitter in Justin. Last Christmas, he mocked me. Still pretending to be a businesswoman in Miami? His jealousy couldn't be more obvious. "Living in some penthouse thinking you're a celebrity?" he growled, gripping a beer bottle. "You think throwing money around makes you family? You have no idea how hard it's been to take care of Mom." But the truth was, he relied on my money. The caregiving he spoke of, left entirely to the professionals I paid for. I tried to defend myself. "I visit every month. I've covered every." You did it to escape your guilt, he spat. The hypocrisy in Justin's words left me breathless. My success, the bond I shared with our mother, and her pride in what I had achieved, those were things he simply couldn't bear. It's funny that you're the one saying that, I said, my voice shaking. I sacrificed everything for this family. And now you expect us to be grateful? Hatred flashed in his eyes. You think you're better than us just because you got lucky? You're not a real CEO, you run some tiny hotel. That's supposed to be impressive. Let me tell you, Mom doesn't even remember half the things you paid for. At least I'm here. At least I'm being a real son. Something broke inside me at those words. Since that Christmas, my mother's phone calls had been reduced to financial requests. She sounded confused, distant. The woman who once believed in my dreams now only remembered my bank account. My father, too, had become entrenched in entitlement. Your mom needs you, he'd say during his monthly urgent funding calls. Family takes care of family. A daughter abandoning that duty, it's unnatural. I tried to explain that financial support wasn't abandonment, but to them, love without physical presence wasn't real. It was simply a convenient funding source for their lifestyle. The hardest part was my mother's memory loss. The woman who once celebrated every one of my achievements couldn't even remember that I'd been paying for her care. She didn't remember the monthly visits either. Justin says you look down on us now, she once said to me, her voice hazy with confusion. Is that true? It didn't matter what I said. Justin had already poisoned her mind. I was the daughter who had abandoned her family. The one who chose money over love. Justin had used my mother's memory issues to distort my words and rewrite history. He painted me as cold, selfish, and uncaring. And my father believed every word of it. The medical bills I paid every month, the support I provided during every family emergency, they accepted all of it, while erasing me from the picture. And now, even at this family milestone, Justin's wedding, they wanted me gone. I understand now, I said, keeping my composure as fragile glass. This is your receipt. I looked my father in the eye. Please tell Mom I love her. And I hope she enjoys the party I paid for. I handed him the payment confirmation, stood tall, and walked away. Behind me, I heard Justin's victorious laughter joined by Katie's shrill giggle. But this humiliation was only the beginning. I made my way to the parking lot, gripping the steering wheel of my Tesla, trying to steady my breath. Then, a knock at the window. I'm Katie's brother. Daniel Irving. He stood there, concerned. Miss Smith. He seemed nervous as he spoke. Just Lauren is fine, I replied, rolling the window halfway down. But how do you know my name? Daniel glanced back toward the venue, then looked at me again. I work for Smith Hotel Consulting in Miami. I manage operations at the Coral Gables Grand Hotel. My mind raced through our org chart. Under Regional Director Jessica Hansen? I recognized the name immediately. A highly capable manager who had joined about 2 months ago. She oversaw one of the top hotels in Miami. And now I realized Daniel was Justin's brother-in-law. Does Justin know you work at my company? I've been busy, Daniel said with a dry laugh. I told him I switched to a new hotel job. He didn't ask much, and Katie knows the company name, but neither of them ever connected the dots, you being the CEO. The irony was sharp. Daniel didn't report to me directly, but I was, without a doubt, his ultimate boss. May I sit? He asked, gesturing toward the passenger seat. There's something important I need to tell you. I unlocked the door. Daniel slid in, his tall frame filling the car with uneasy tension. I should have said something back there, he began. What they did to you was completely wrong. Then why didn't you? The question came out sharper than I intended. It's complicated family politics, he sighed. I've only been part of this family for about 6 months. I'm still learning how toxic they really are. Well, now you've seen them at their best, I said bitterly. Last night at the rehearsal dinner, he continued, Justin and your father discussed what to do if you showed up. It was planned. Your mother wasn't part of that conversation. A chill ran through me. My humiliation wasn't accidental, it was a cruel performance, carefully planned in advance. Does Mom know I was coming? She was expecting you. But Justin told her you declined the invitation weeks ago. It was a lie. Then he dropped something even more shocking. Justin's been poisoning your relationship with your parents for years. Subtle comments, reframing your absence as rejection, exaggerating arguments. And with your mother's mild memory issues, he's been helping manage her schedule and even her medications. While I was building a career in Miami, Justin had been constructing a completely different narrative in Florida. I had been painted as the cruel daughter who abandoned her family and antagonist who sacrificed her loved ones for corporate success. Why are you telling me this? Your sister is marrying him. Because what happened back there wasn't okay. And also at work I've seen how you treat people. With respect, fairness, real care. The professional I know as Lauren doesn't match the villain Justin describes. Honestly, it disgusts me to see my boss publicly humiliated by my new in-laws. His honesty gave me strength. I could have walked away, but it was time the truth came out. Okay, it's time everyone heard the real story. Including Mom. We began walking back to the venue. This confrontation wasn't something I had planned, but maybe it was exactly what this family needed. And now, with Daniel an unexpected ally, I was finally ready to face the years of lies and manipulation. Walking back into the reception felt like stepping into a hostile shareholder meeting. I was about to expose the ugly truth in front of 80 guests sipping cocktails and appetizers I had paid for. A slideshow was playing, filled with family photos I wasn't in despite being the one who funded the entire celebration. At the head table, my mother sat wearing a soft yellow dress that complemented her complexion, looking both confused and slightly dazed. She nodded at whatever Justin was telling her but clearly struggled to follow the conversation. Justin spotted us first. His face went pale. But it was already too late. Daniel stepped forward and raised his voice over the gradually quieting room. Everyone, I'd like to introduce Justin's sister, Lauren Smith. Then, perfectly timed, he added. And also my CEO at Smith Hotel Consulting. Silence. Total and complete. My mother's head shot up. She looked at me, eyes wide with confusion, then pure joy. Lauren. You came. She tried to rise to her feet, fumbling her napkin. Justin stormed toward us, his face red with rage. Daniel, what the hell are you doing? Just telling the truth, Daniel answered plainly. My father appeared next, his expression murderous. We made it clear at the entrance. You did? I replied, calm and unflinching. But there seems to be a major misunderstanding about who actually paid for this celebration. My mother slowly walked over, looking between us with growing concern. What's going on, Robert? Why are you so angry? Lauren, I'm so happy you're here. The look of genuine joy on her face confirmed what Daniel had told me. She truly hadn't known what happened at the door. Mom, I said, taking her frail hand as she approached. I need to ask you something important. Did you really think I didn't want to celebrate Justin's wedding? She blinked, her face clouded with confusion. Justin told me you were too busy with that big hotel deal. I never said that, I replied firmly. In fact, I transferred $8,000 to pay for this entire venue and cleared my schedule to drive here from Miami. Then why? Her eyes darted wildly between Justin and my father. They turned me away at the door, I said. Justin and Dad told me this celebration wasn't for me, that it was for real family, even though I paid for it. My mother's face shifted from confusion to fear. Robert, is that true? My father's face turned crimson. Katie, I wanted to talk to you about what she's been saying about family. She said no such thing. My mother cut in, her voice stronger than I'd heard in years. Lauren is my daughter. Of course she should be welcomed at her brother's wedding. The reception fell deathly silent, quiet enough to hear the champagne fizzing in people's glasses. As the entire party turned to witness our family's unraveling, I continued. There has been a pattern. For years, my financial support was welcomed while my presence was rejected. My success was twisted into abandonment. My generosity recast as obligation. Justin stepped forward. This is inappropriate, Lauren. There's a time and place, and my wedding day isn't it. You always make everything about money. And that is exactly what I came to say. I said, raising my voice to address the entire room. That portrayal of me obsessed with money, emotionally absent, was a fabricated story. It's not the truth. I turned to Daniel. What did Justin say about me? Daniel didn't hesitate. He said you were cold. Obsessed with money. That you looked down on the family. That's absolutely not true, I said, with a steely calm. Justin's composure shattered completely. You don't get it, do you? He shouted. You got lucky, Miss CEO, part of the elite now? Acting like you've forgotten us. While I've been stuck here, going nowhere. And even then, Mom always talks about you. Even when I'm here every single day. His outburst silenced the entire reception. Justin, my mother said softly. I've never compared you to Lauren. I love you both, just in different ways. Then, why are you always thanking her for the medical bills? Justin's voice cracked, anger brimming with tears. She pays for everything. All the bills, every emergency, every luxury we ask for, and you treat her like she's some kind of saint. I stood stunned. His financial dependence had turned into shame, and that shame had twisted into resentment. My father had been uncharacteristically quiet until he finally spoke. This is a conversation that should be continued in private. No, my mother said, her voice surprisingly firm. I'm tired of the lies and manipulation in this family. She turned to the wedding guests. Everyone, I'm so sorry. Please enjoy the celebration. My family and I need to have an honest conversation. She pointed toward a small side room. My father, Justin, Daniel, and I followed her in. As the door closed behind us, I caught a glimpse of stunned faces and hushed whispers ripping across the reception. Inside the small room, my mother took control. The full scope of my financial support was finally revealed. Please, everyone have a seat. We obeyed like guilty children facing a judge. Robert, she began, turning to my father. Did you really send our daughter away from a wedding she paid for? He shifted uncomfortably. I was trying to protect the family. I couldn't forgive what she said about us. And what exactly did she say? She pressed him. In her own words, not Justin's version. My father looked genuinely confused. She said we were beneath her. That she was too successful to waste time with us. I never said that. I cut in quietly. I did say that I sacrificed everything to financially support this family. That part is true, but it wasn't an attack. It was a desperate plea for recognition after Justin accused me of being heartless. My mother turned to Justin. Have you been deliberately poisoning our relationship with Lauren? His bravado crumbled beneath her direct gaze. I was just tired of living in her shadow. Lauren shows up with a check and gets to be the hero. Everyone's grateful. And then she disappears again. Just because she pays for Mom's medical care, she gets all the praise. The pieces were finally falling into place. Justin's calculated manipulation, his exploitation of my mother's memory loss, the twisting of my words, everything was finally brought to light. Then, Daniel spoke unexpectedly. The Lauren I know as a CEO doesn't match the villain Justin described. Justin turned on him, betrayal blazing in his eyes. You're taking her side? Your boss over your own family? This isn't about sides, Daniel said firmly. It's about telling the truth. I want a fresh start, I said into the silence. For all of us. But it has to be built on complete honesty. No more manipulation. No more gatekeeping. And no more accepting my money while erasing my presence. My mother reached out with trembling fingers and took my hand. I want that too. I've missed you, Lauren. More than you could ever know. My father cleared his throat awkwardly. If what you're saying is accurate, then perhaps there were some misunderstandings. It wasn't a full apology, but from my father it was revolutionary. Justin remained silent, shameful tears now streaming down his face. A month after the truth came out, I was entering a new chapter of my life. Back in my penthouse office in Miami, I finally had time to reflect on everything that had happened with my family. The first sign of change came in the form of a phone call from my father. Lauren, you were right. I misunderstood you for so many years, my father said. I believed everything Justin told me and downplayed everything you've done. There was a humility in his voice I hadn't heard since I was a child. I can't trust that right away, Dad. But I'll be watching your actions going forward. My mother's call struck even deeper. I missed you so much. I let Justin make me forget you had been coming all along. I'm starting to remember now how important our time together was. The time we spent, the sweets I brought that she loved, the shows we watched together, the days I encouraged her through rehab memories Justin had tried to erase were returning. I missed you too, Mom. But this time, let's build something different. A relationship that's honest. One without manipulation. But the most important decision I made was to set financial boundaries. I stopped all automatic payments to the family and established new rules. First, all requests for money had to come with a clear explanation of use. Second, emergencies were to be defined only true medical or essential living issues qualified. Third, every form of support now came with conditions and time limits. I continued paying for my mother's medical and rehab expenses, but everything else would be evaluated individually. This isn't a punishment, I explained to them. It's a healthy boundary. Love is not the same as financial dependence. 2 months later, my mother visited Miami for the first time. It was her chance to finally see what I had built. It's incredible, she said, as she toured my penthouse and company headquarters. What you've created here. I'm so glad I didn't ask you to give it all up when I got sick. This is where you belong. Watching her interact with my staff brought me unexpected peace. This wasn't money-obsessed Lauren from the twisted family narrative. This was the reality Lauren, a CEO with vision and integrity. But my relationship with Justin was beyond repair. 3 months after the confrontation at the wedding, tragic news reached me. Katie had filed for divorce. The truth coming out, the tension with Daniel, and facing financial reality had all broken their marriage. They fought constantly about money, Daniel told me. Katie couldn't accept that Justin couldn't support them without your help. I got one call from Justin. Everything has fallen apart, he said, his voice hollow. Katie left. I'm broke. Mom hates me. You must be happy. I'm not happy, I answered truthfully. But this is the path you chose. It's the result of years of lies and manipulation. So you won't forgive me? We're family? After a long pause, I said, It's because we're family that I can't forgive what you did. You used Mom's memory loss to destroy my relationship with her. That was cruel, cowardly, unforgivable. So this is it? You're cutting me off? Yes. I'm never speaking to you again. You are no longer part of my life. I later heard that Justin had fallen into alcoholism, was job hopping, and living alone in a rundown apartment, but I didn't reach out. A year later, I live by a new definition of family. My parents and I speak once a month, brief, honest calls. They now pay for their own flights to visit me in Miami, and I occasionally stop by Florida. But these visits come from a place of genuine intention. No manipulation, no hidden financial asks, no Justin poisoning the well. Family love may be unconditional, but relationships require boundaries. "I'm so proud of your success," my mother said in a recent call. "I'm glad I told you to keep working back then. I'm so glad I didn't let your dreams die. I have no regrets about cutting off Justin. I spent years hoping he would change." But sometimes you can't save someone. Sometimes saving yourself is enough. My company has continued to grow. Last year, we successfully expanded into the Caribbean. I've earned industry recognition and was even nominated for CEO of the Year. But more importantly, I no longer let my worth be defined by family guilt or financial demands. My value comes from what I've built, the people I respect, and the way I choose to live with honesty and strength. The confrontation at the wedding was one of the most painful moments of my life. But it was also the beginning of my liberation. The truth can be brutal, but it weighs far less than a lie. Today, I live the life I always wanted: successful, independent, and a woman who bows to no one's manipulation.